Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk from Monday, January 26th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are trading lower, down 0.06%. Really farther off. I mean, we had big lows last night, but they seem to come back. They're flat to lower right now. On the economic front, markets can be focused on that Fed meeting. And there are indications that President Trump may be announcing his pick for the new Fed chair this week. That's something to keep an eye on. On the geopolitical front, we got Russia and Ukraine peace talks ending without a breakthrough. We got that U.S. aircraft carrier strike group headed towards the Gulf, and that's elevating tensions with Iran. In Washington, the weekend events in Minnesota over the weekend are really a flashpoint in Congress over ICE funding. Democrats are vowing to oppose funding to the Department of Homeland Security unless some steps are taken to address the fatal shootings over the weekend. There is risk of a partial government shutdown this week, so we got to keep an eye on that. That could cause some negative volatility in the markets. Over the weekend, President Trump threatened to impose 100% tariffs on Canadian goods if Canada finalizes a trade deal with China. Canadian officials, responded by saying that they do not intend to pursue a major trade deal with China in response. This is a minor agreement. That winter storm, led to a number of flight cancellations. It's disrupting oil production. So that's kind of supporting crude oil this morning. And then this morning, ticker USAR, Uncle Sam, Apple Richard, this is USA Rare Earth. They announced a letter of intent with the U.S. government for access to up to $1.6 billion in funding. On the earnings front, hey, this is a big week for earnings. Tomorrow morning, you got UNH, United Healthcare, you got Boeing, RTX, UPS, and GM all scheduled to report. Okay, let's take a look at the global markets and see what's happening around the world this morning. We're going to start off with the DAX in Germany, which is trading lower. I mean, the DAX is down 0.05% or 11 points. It was down like 98 points. So, this is actually a nice comeback. Banks, financial stocks are trading higher. In London, the FTSE's up 18 points or 0.19%. You got gains in the miners. There's some weakness in consumer stocks, but the miners are really helping to support that index this morning. The CAC in Paris is down 0.2%. Luxury stocks are mixed, while banking stocks are higher in France. The Asian markets last night, the Asian markets were mixed as well. You had the Nikkei drop 961. That's 1.79%. Now, they were pressured by a stronger yen. Because there's speculation that there's going to be government intervention. Okay, that would, cause the yen to rally, which would cause equity prices to pull back. But there's also talk that the U.S. might be aiding the Japanese government in a potential currency move. So that has those equities weakening. Hong Kong, the Hang Seng was up 0.06%, supported by gains in property and financial stocks. China was lower by 0.09%, not significant. Volumes were light. You got to remember, markets in India and Australia were closed overnight for a national holiday, so they didn't have the volume they normally have. Okay, we turn our attention over to crude oil to see what the oil is doing this morning. And honestly, they were trading higher all morning long, but now we're seeing a little weakness creep in. You get WTI at $61 a barrel. It's kind of down 0.15%. It was trading, 61.25 earlier today. Brent is at $65.84. Down 0.06%. There was no peace deal with Russia and Ukraine. Markets still are looking at these Iranian and Canadian issues on the table. And the colder temperatures, listen, it is hurting production, but we're getting through it. So you really, the worst of it didn't happen. So we got to be pleased about that. But right now, oil is weakening a bit after having strong gains earlier in the morning. But those markets have turned. Okay, now we're going to move on and we're going to talk about earnings action There's nothing really significant this morning, but tomorrow morning you got UNH, United Healthcare, EPS is $2.09, expected move is 5.57%. You got Boeing, Boeing ticker BA, Boy Apple, EPS is for a loss of 0.39% with the expected move of 5%. Ooh, this one could be interesting. GM, General Motors, their EPS is $2.21. Expected move is 6.19%. Interesting. What else do we have? In terms of the economic front, you got the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Survey coming out at 10:30 a.m. There's a host of other reports due out today, but they're all delayed, so I don't really focus on the delayed reports. I focus on the fresh data coming out. In terms of, in terms of the markets this morning, I got 10 Dow stocks higher. I got 1 unchanged, which would mean I got 19 lower. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. I'm seeing some gains in Apple, Netflix, and Meta. Everything else is trading fractionally lower. News flows a little light today there because, a lot of these tech companies are releasing earnings this week. Google's out there. They bought 3D image generator startup Common Sense machines, I noticed. These Meta sunglasses, they're going to be a boom for future. I mean, as long as they keep the price down, they can sell a ton of them. Just don't get caught up in thinking you can sell people $1,000 eyewear. That's just not going to happen. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, Chevron, CVX still showing gains. Oil sector headlines were made, continued source of volatility for the oil market. And, Chevron up over 0.5% this morning. Cisco had some upgrades. That's having some nice gains this morning. Unlikely to be able to hold this 2.3% gain this morning, but it is trading higher. Merck, ticker MRK, they walked away from discussions with RVMD, Revolution Medicines. They just couldn't agree on the price. You look at Merck this morning, and Merck is trading higher by 0.34%. Scotts Miracle-Gro, SMG, they're holding a shareholders meeting today at 9 a.m. All right, that's all I see about news hitting the tape this morning. Let's move on to our pick of the day, which is General Motors, ticker GM, Brace Mary. Earnings are due out tomorrow morning. EPS, $2.21. Expect to move 6.19%. Friday's call volume, 12,862 calls versus put volume is 6,325. 2-to-1. Open interest, 200,000 to 156K on the put side. Again, that's positive. Major brokers do like it. They're raising price targets on General Motors. But for me, I want to get in. 79.75 is my entry price. I definitely think I could make more than a 1% gain there if these earnings are positive. But we're looking for some positive action in General Motors tomorrow morning. But that's my pick of the day. GM, General Motors, entry price 79.75. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about hot off the press and see what's happened in the last 15 minutes, see if we get anything. NVIDIA invests $2 billion in CoreWeave. Ooh, they're expanding their relationship. NVIDIA is now trading lower. It was higher. It's now trading lower by about 0.7%. Biogen, the FDA accepts their application for priority review for their Alzheimer's drug. Samsara, SANM, they're releasing earnings after the bell today. That could be something. It could be a big move. All right, that's all I'm seeing this morning in terms of news hitting the tape. Okay, let's talk about our pick of the day from Friday, which was Generac, GNRC. I mean, I had an entry price there of 174.50, and listen, the stock opened up at 175.90, rallied a little bit, then fell down to 173.01, and then it closed at it closed out at 173.01. But this morning in the pre-market, it's been trading 175.50 all day long. So it's not a win because it didn't make 1%. It is trading higher, so it basically goes into that flat trade category. But Generac, I'm still positive on it because listen, when the power goes out, there's a portfolio of stocks that typically move, and Generac is one of them. Something to keep an eye on. Okay, traders, that concludes NewsWare's podcast for today, January 26th. Guys, you know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.